Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I am Charles and I'm coming to you from Hong Kong. It is about 9:15 in the morning in Hong Kong, and I'm doing a live session here to talk about comfort zones and getting out of your comfort zone. So this is the next 30 to 40 minutes or so is going to be about the comfort zone challenge. And if you were to take on any of the hacks, ideas, best practices I propose to you in the next few minutes, you will grow 5% braver. Now, why am I doing this particular LinkedIn Live? Well, I've just noticed lately that there's a bit of noise happening uh, in throughout the business environment. People are coming to the end of the year and they want to do better, they want to grow more, but sometimes people don't realize that actually they are in their comfort zone and they're looking for ideas on how they can get outside of their comfort zone. And here today is where you're going to find some of those ideas. So as you're listening to me today, be sure to say hi. Let me know from where you are calling in from. I'll just drop that in the comments here. Questions about anything we talk about today, be sure to drop them in the comment box and let me know from where you are watching from and any questions that you have. So let's get started on your comfort zone challenge for the coming week, growing 5% braver over the coming week. So the first thing is a lot of people have this concept about someday, and the someday lie is actually killing your potential. So people say things such as someday I'm going to network, or someday I'm going to speak up, or someday I'm going to launch that idea, or someday I'm going to write that book. Well, that someday is the cemetery for dreams. You have a dream, you have things that you want to do. Don't wait for someday. The conditions are never going to be better for you to take action on whatever dream or goal you have that you want to take action on. And if you look at the entrepreneurs, if you study entrepreneurship and read about entrepreneurs, they were up against lots and lots of odds. They didn't wait till someday. They went forward and they took action today. So your growth is now or never. That's the proposition. Your growth is now or never. Don't wait for someday. If there's something that you're sitting on, if there's an idea you want to pursue, start taking those steps towards it, even if they're baby steps. And in addition to that, write them down. So that's the first thing. The someday lie is killing your potential and it's keeping you small. And speaking of keeping you small, your comfort zone is actually shrinking. It's not static. So, for example, every time you avoid a difficult conversation, anytime you postpone a scary task, anytime that you silence an idea that you may have, so you might be in a meeting, you have an insight, you have an idea, but you might be in a meeting with maybe some strong personalities, and for whatever reason, you get blocked, you get stopped. When that happens and you don't step up, your comfort zone actually doesn't stay the same. It's not static. It actually gets smaller. So you've probably heard the expression that if you're not moving forward, you're moving backward. Well, one could say that the same thing applies to the concept of your comfort zone. You want to always be growing, always expanding, always challenging yourself, going to the next level. So inaction is reverse momentum. And this week, I invite you to reset your direction. So if you have an idea that you want to take action on, this week I invite you to take action on that, even if it's baby steps, and reverse the direction and take action on it. Don't sit idle there and watch your comfort zone grow. Okay, so that's your challenge. The next idea I want to present to you is that discomfort is data. Discomfort is not danger. So this is another fallacy that people have about their comfort zone. When they're up against comfort zone, they think that the discomfort that they're feeling is a threat to them. It's not a threat. It's just data. When you feel discomfort in a meeting, when you feel discomfort, fear before you make a presentation before a meeting, for example, or maybe you're making a presentation at a conference, perhaps you're taking a bold step to ask out somebody on a date and you feel a bit of discomfort. That's not danger. That's just data. It's just feelings that you have. And not in your stomach is not a stop sign, but look that it is a stop sign, and that's where they get stopped. It's a GPS signal that says you are here at the edge of what you know. Welcome, you're at the edge of your comfort zone. That's what the data is saying to you. And The opportunity is to step forward into that comfort zone and make it happen anyway. So your mission this week is to collect the data, not run from it. When you feel that discomfort data, just say, thank you for sharing. I got it. Thanks for that data. That's good data to know. That data tells me that I'm on the edge of my comfort zone. So even today, I'm doing a pop-up LinkedIn Live here because this idea has been on my mind for the last couple of days. I actually put the presentation together on the weekend, and I had a couple of things that stopped me and got in the way over the past 48 hours that prevented me from actually jumping in and doing this LinkedIn Live. I have a meeting at 11 o'clock this morning on an as I was sitting here thinking, wow, I need to make sure I get to that meeting on time. I can get to that meeting on time, but I need to prepare for this LinkedIn Live. But I've already prepared for the LinkedIn Live. I already had the presentation. I already thought, okay, the time is now to do it. And then this is just data. It's not a threat. It's just data that tells me I'm on the edge of my comfort zone and I'm going to go live and do this presentation anyway. And I hope that you get lots of value out of this presentation. There's about 8 or 9, 10 ideas coming up, plus the couple in addition to or with the few that I've already presented. So hopefully one of these is going to encourage you to take a step to get out of your danger zone. Okay, so discomfort is data, it's not danger. And there's a whole science about how your brain reacts to threat, how it reacts to danger, and interprets it. How it reacts to data that it interprets as danger, that it interprets as threat. I'm not going to get into that today. That's a conversation for another day. But the next idea I want you to consider is a low stakes environment. So I'm not asking you this week, I'm not inviting you to quit your job or do something really radical like that. Instead, I'm inviting you to look into your environment, what's around you, and think of one micro action that maybe you get that data danger, right? You get that data that tells you that's danger. And that micro action might just feel a bit uncomfortable for you. So there you are on the edge of your comfort zone, and you have an opportunity to step through that comfort zone, across that line, and that's going to have you grow at least 5% more than usual. And that's what I want you to do. So that's the scientific method of bravery. Okay, it pushes you just a little bit more. You look around, what is it that you could take action on? You're up against that edge of your comfort zone. You feel that data coming in, and you're interpreting that data not a threat. It's your body telling you, okay, I'm on the edge of growth here. You take that step in that mini laboratory you've created for yourself for this week, and you grow that 5% because you've taken that step. Okay. The other thing is that if you were to find that you took a step and you got a no, that's just a no. It's just more data. And it tells you, again, where your boundary is and where the edge of your data is. So the next question I want you to ask yourself is if your professional reputation is too polished. So perfection is a boring story. Nowadays, when you look out into social media, when you look out into LinkedIn, the LinkedIn universe, you look around at what are very popular posts. People love vulnerable right now. People love raw. There are lots and lots of stories of celebrities who got out of their comfort zone. They went forward and they took action on something in a way that made them vulnerable, in a way that made them raw, in a way that made them much more authentic and much less polished. And the response they got from that was really, really, really positive. We had several years ago, we had a huge celebrity do a concert here in Hong Kong. I'm not going to name who the celebrity was, but it was a huge, huge name. And this was long before all the difficulties that the planet has encountered in the last 5, 6 years with the pandemic and so forth. This was about 10 years ago. And I knew the individual that was running the venue for that this celebrity was was doing their concert in. And the celebrity got very, very, very sick right before their concert. And the individual, the leader who was running that venue, was really, really worried about this individual and concerned that they had the right doctors and so on. And so they got in and had an audience with this celebrity to make sure that they were okay and that they had everything they needed to get well for the concert, because he was concerned the concert might get canceled, or that the person might not be able to perform for the whole concert. And he actually had a chance to meet and talk to this individual for about 45 minutes to an hour. And this person was quite sick. They were throwing up, they were nervous, and all sorts of things were happening with them. And they said, this is normal. This is just normal. This is just my body on the edge of my comfort zone, about to step out to an audience of thousands of people. And this is just normal. And there was no, in this particular case, while this person would no doubt rehearse and rehearse and rehearse their songs, in this particular case, in that moment, there was nothing they were doing to polish up their reputation, to polish up their act. All they were doing was managing their well-being and getting ready to go on stage and to be vulnerable, to be authentic, and to be real. And this artist is known for being vulnerable, authentic, and real. So that's the question for you. Is your reputation too polished? Do you need to, if you're at a perfect sunset and you've got a great idea, a great insight, and you think, wow, here's an interesting idea that I could share on LinkedIn or Instagram or to friends of mine, just whip open your iPhone or your mobile device and do a 30, 45-second video and share that idea. You don't have to edit it. It doesn't have to be perfect. But the most magnetic leaders are aspirational yet relatable. Okay, so watch out for perfection. And so this week I invite you to share a struggle, ask a dumb question in a meeting. There are no dumb project. Share something vulnerable without it being polished. Vulnerability is credibility. There are lots and lots of success stories around this as well. Reverse engineer a no. So the goal this week is not to get a yes, it's to professionally and politely get one clear no. Now, what does the no tell you? The no tells you where your boundary is and where your growth area is and where you need to push beyond your comfort zone to move forward. Lots and lots of people are afraid of no's. They're afraid of afraid of rejection. I remember reading a case study about sales several years ago, and it was an individual, a Vietnam vet, who had done 2 tours of duty in Vietnam. And he had been in Vietnam probably at the most difficult time during the Vietnam War. He then returned to the US. And of course, like many Vietnam vets, he had some of his struggles, but fortunately, from a career perspective, he was super successful and built a real estate empire. Now, this was a kind of humble guy that you wouldn't read about, but he ended up, a couple of decades after Vietnam, being a multi-millionaire. And he was interviewed about his sales techniques and why he was so successful. And he said, you know what? After Vietnam, after surviving that war and everything that I went through, everything else is easy. And so for him, he was not afraid of rejection because he had faced extraordinary circumstances in his life. So he had redefined rejection. He had redefined no. And that's what made him formidable in the face of sales and real estate deals and negotiation. And he was a very nice guy, a very humble guy. He's not the sort of person you would meet at a dinner party and think, wow, alpha male, super aggressive here. But he understood the science of no. So I want you to reverse engineer a no. This week, the goal is not to get a yes. It's to professionally and politely get one clear no that will tell you where your boundaries are and where the edge of your comfort zone is. So ask for something slightly unreasonable, maybe more budget, maybe an introduction, maybe more responsibility. And that will expand your boundaries. It'll give you data on where the edge of your boundary is, where the edge of your comfort zone is, and it proves that you're playing at a higher level. The fact that you're willing to go beyond that no and disregard any rejection that you might have, let go of any danger that you might feel. That's the opportunity here. Now, before we move on to number 8, I'm going to just stop for a moment here and say hello to a couple people that have dropped in and are saying hello along the way. So we've got Geraldo here from, I've got to try to hide this. Hold on one second here. I got to get the comments sorted out here. All right. So we have Geraldo here. So hi, Geraldo. Thanks for joining us. Great to see you. And we have Sean Michael. Thanks, Sean. Thank you. Good morning. I don't know where you are located, Sean, but it's great to see you this morning. Thanks for being here. Micro actions for the win. Absolutely. Taking micro actions is such a great way to step forward and continuously move your comfort zone. And also, in terms of achieving goals, micro actions, if you take them on a daily basis, turn into habits. And the science of goal setting will tell you that those daily, weekly habits are critical to accomplishing goals in the long time. So, Sean, you've got a question here. Does sharing experiencing a struggle on stream count? Today, my topic was peace over chaos, and I experienced chaos at the beginning. I would say yes, absolutely. Sharing any kind of struggle on a stream counts. Absolutely, I would encourage you to do that and just be open and honest about what you're experiencing in that moment, what strategies you used to uh, resolve that particular situation. So thanks for that comment, Sean, for that question. So let's move on here to the uh, let's move on here to the slide, and be sure to tell me from where you're weighing in, where you're watching. Would love to know that. This time of the day might have a few more people dropping in than the normal HorizonX, which is at 1 p.m. on Thursday. So number 8, after reverse engineering, the 60-second video challenge. So lots of people, one of the things um, obviously I'm an executive and leadership coach, and I have a services page on LinkedIn. And one of the things that happens is that people post that they're looking for advice in a particular area: career coaching, executive coaching, business plans, leadership coaching, job searching, interview prep, all sorts of things. There are a lot of interesting things that people are up to. And when I look at these, the requests don't necessarily come in directly to me. LinkedIn floats them up to my services page, and then I have an opportunity to respond to people who are seeking professional guidance and help. But what does amaze me is when I go in and have a look at people's LinkedIn profiles, is that a lot of people are commenting, they're reposting, they might be putting up a text message, but they're not taking the next step of putting up an image. And the statistics will tell you if you post an image once a week on LinkedIn, then you pass a threshold which will make you much more visible. And the next threshold after that is video. So you're recording a raw 60-second video, no fancy edits, about something you learned or a challenge that you're facing, is powerful. Very, 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 very powerful. In fact, one individual that I've been mentoring through our church mentoring program only has about 30 followers on LinkedIn. And at the time, and he posted a video introducing himself on LinkedIn, and that video had, I think by now it's probably up to 200 views. So if it was just an image, it might be half of that. If it was a text message, it would be even less than that. So the point is that the opportunity in video on LinkedIn is very, very strong. And I would invite you to break through that professional image might be too polished. And if you have an idea that you think is particularly insightful and an interesting lesson that people could learn in 60 to 90 seconds, record it. Don't try to edit it in any kind of fancy way, but just post it up on LinkedIn. Here's what I do when I post videos. I set myself a challenge and a deadline on how quickly I'm going to post that video. I find that if I record a video and I leave it for later, later never comes. That's someday. If I leave it for someday, someday never comes. And when I was still in the corporate world, what I used to do in the morning was I would have an idea that I wanted to communicate to people. And I would order a taxi that would take me to work. Yeah, I took a taxi to work. I don't drive in Hong Kong. I often would take a taxi to work and then public transport home. And the public transport home helps me to decompress. But in the morning, I'm an action person, which is one of the reasons why I'm doing a LinkedIn Live this morning in Hong Kong, because I love this type of thing. I love sharing knowledge and being in action and challenging my comfort zone and being beyond the edge of that comfort zone. So what I would do when I took a taxi to work is I would call the taxi, and I would know that I had about 4, 5, 6 minutes before that taxi arrived. Now I use Snapchat. I would run downstairs, and It would take me a minute to get downstairs. I would then have 3 or 4 minutes. I would already have selected roughly where I'm going to record my video, because outside of my building there was 4 or 5 quiet areas where I could record, and a different scene each day of the week type of thing. And I would record that video on Snapchat. And by the time and I would usually have 1 or 2 takes, maybe 2, often 1. I would then have that video waiting in Snapchat. I would hop in, the taxi would arrive, I would hop into the taxi. And as I was on my way to work, I might add a little bit of text or a couple of colorful icons that would capture the headline of the video, maybe cut the beginning or the end of the video, but I would not edit in the middle of the video. Snapchat doesn't allow you to do that. You can do a few things in Snapchat, but you can't actually edit the video the way you can with other editing. And then it would go onto my Snapchat feed. I would download it, and then I would do a short crop to make it fit better on LinkedIn. And by the time I got to work, that video was uploaded onto LinkedIn. And usually those videos were about 45, 60, 75 seconds long. You can look at my videos on LinkedIn. If you go to my profile, look at posts and the videos, you'll see a history. A lot of those videos are not planned. They are done spontaneously in the moment. I don't wait for someday. I record them and I post them. So that's my invitation to you. If you have a great message that inspires you, that you think could be a benefit to other people, record that video and post it up, and don't worry about it being all perfectly edited. It does not need to be perfectly edited. Your audience, the LinkedIn universe, and most of the planet loves raw, authentic, vulnerable. So the anxiety you feel is the price of connection, and it's just, that's all it is. So I invite you to take that step. The next one is kill your sacred cow. Now, identify a best practice or rigid rule in your routine that you need to get rid of. So perhaps you start work 2 hours later, you delegate, or you start work 2 hours earlier, but you alter your routine in some way. Maybe you have a precious task that you do every single week because you think that you need to do it in order to achieve perfection. Well, how about delegating that task to somebody else? Show somebody else how to do that task, delegate that task, and that other person will grow, and you'll grow as well by letting it go. Or maybe if there's something that you don't know, you might find that sometimes you're in a situation where you're bluffing a little bit. You don't know something. Just say, I don't know. I'm not sure. Be honest, vulnerable, authentic. And when someone asks you a question, if you don't know, say, I don't know, and perhaps offer some solutions about how that person could find out. I find that a lot of people in the corporate world are afraid of saying, I don't know. They're worried that that will make them look bad, that it will expose a weakness. But at the same time, it can show that you're vulnerable and authentic and honest, and you can offer solutions on where a person might be able to get an answer. So look for something in your routine that you're holding on to and try to deliberately break it. Another thing that you can do, if you find that you lack sleep, instead of sleeping in the morning, go to bed an hour earlier, and look at your sleep routines and ways that you can tweak your sleep routine to get more sleep. Number 10 is to schedule your cringe. So any action that you're avoiding that won't get any easier, get it done. So open your calendar and block 15 minutes to schedule something that you've been avoiding over the last couple of hours, the last couple of days, the last couple of weeks. And send that awkward email or make that awkward call. Now, when I was in the corporate world, I had a concept with my team called Fix It Friday. And on a Thursday night, or on a Friday morning, it would depend, I would sit down and make a list of all the things that we needed to fix. Maybe there were people that were waiting for a response from us. Maybe there were problems that we could resolve actually pretty quickly. And the busyness of the week, the hurriedness, all the other projects might have been distracting us from Monday to Thursday. And so we called it Fix It Friday. But you don't have to wait till Friday for Fix It Friday. You can fix things today. So that difficult email, that difficult conversation, you can get alongside somebody and have that difficult conversation and solve it today. Or you can also come up with a list and fix it by Friday. But remember, things that don't get fixed by Friday, things that don't get resolved by Friday, people carry into the weekend. And then they might be ruminating about it on the weekend or fretting about it on the weekend, including you. And that's a lot of energy that's lost to stress and worry that would be better directed to more productive activities and having fun on the weekend. So schedule your cringe. Whatever it is that you don't want to do, get that thing done. And the science of success and the science of planning will tell you that if you take the most difficult tasks in a day and put them at the start of your day, you will have a more successful day. Get the difficult tasks out of the way. It gets you in momentum for the rest of the day, and you'll have a better day. And then the last one here is the Friday autopsy without blame. Now, this is not Fix It Friday that I was just talking about, but this is just looking back at the end of the week. What did you take on this week? Or if it's going to be 7 days, what did you take on over the next week? By Monday, Tuesday, do a debrief for yourself, do an autopsy without blame. So you just have a look at what did the discomfort feel like and what was the actual outcome versus the feared one. And it's just data. That's all it is. It's just data about where you are in relation to your comfort zone. Most people are unconscious about their comfort zone. They're not familiar with where their comfort zone is. And the hacks and the practices I've talked about today are ways for you to test out where your comfort zone is and to grow. So when you do a post-mortem on your comfort zone after a 1 week experiment or for trying to push yourself to the edge of your comfort zone and beyond your comfort zone, it's not about judgment. It's about mining your week for fearless insights, for lessons learned about what you can do differently and where your comfort zone is and how you can grow further. So that is the last tip that I have that I want to cover with you today. So just very, very quickly to run through them all. Remember that someday is a lie that's killing your potential. Do things now. Don't wait for someday. And remember that your comfort zone is not static. It is not, it's either going forward or going backwards. So if you're at the edge of your comfort zone and not taking action to grow, then your comfort zone is actually shrinking. You have to keep in mind, a lot of people are growing their comfort zone all the time. If you're not growing your comfort zone, my question to you would be, are you shrinking? Remember that discomfort is data. It's not danger. It's not a threat. It's just data. It's just data that says you're at the edge of your comfort zone. So create a low stakes laboratory experiment this week. What's something that you can do, a task that you can do that'll have you grow 5% more? And what you might find, and I invite you to think about this in your autopsy at the end of the week, is that you've actually grown more than 5%. And along the way, if you took on a couple of these practices, you might find that you've had a really big breakthrough, much way beyond 5%. Also have a look at your professional reputation. Are you being too polished? Maybe you need to relax and be a little more authentic and be a little more vulnerable. So that's an invitation to you. Reverse engineer a no. Try to make a request where you get a no, and then try to understand where did the no come from. And remember that no does not mean rejection. No is just no. It's just another piece of data along the edge of what could be your comfort zone. And the 60-second video challenge. So active on social media, if you're active on LinkedIn, with texts, with images, I invite you, if you've got a great idea that you want to share for the world, then make a video about that great idea. 45, 60, 75 seconds, a minute and a half long. Be vulnerable. Don't worry about editing it and being super prepared. The other thing not to underestimate is that your good ideas could be a huge benefit to other people. It's possible that your good idea, your insight, is what somebody else needs to hear today when you record that video. And then we all have those rigid practices that we're attached to, what we might call a sacred cow. So get rid of your sacred cow and identify those things that you're holding on to dearly and delegate them to somebody else. Have a look at your cringe. What are those things that you really don't want to do, the awkward actions you don't want to take, and the things that make you really, really uncomfortable? Get them done today. Get them sorted out, or make a list for Fix It Friday. and get them done by Friday. And when Friday comes, or Monday, Tuesday, if you're going to make this a 7-day laboratory experience, then do an autopsy, have a look at how did you do, what did you learn from going through your comfort zone, and I would love to hear your thoughts and comments below in the comments. So come back and let me know how it worked out with your comfort zone experiment, or drop me a DM. And if you're interested in moving beyond your comfort zone and you're struggling with how to implement some of these practices, or maybe you find that the data is danger for you and you need some coaching to get through those best practices, those hacks, or those data points that come up as danger or threat, then give me a call. I'd be happy to talk to you, and give you some coaching in that particular area. Hope you have a fantastic day and that if you enjoyed this LinkedIn Live. This is Charles Caldwell in Hong Kong, over and out.